Wow. Okay. So I was literally telling you guys. Oh my goodness. Check, check, check. Okay, we're tested. Wow. So you heard the intro, but you didn't hear me at all. What a stunad. What a stunad. What a glupa. What a chooch on my end. That was a pretty good intro. That was a pretty good intro. I was telling you guys I'm not sharp. I need to be more consistent with the recording. And there you go. That's a reason why I'm not sharp. I didn't have the mic plugged in. Oi, freaking vey. Get involved. At least I got the banner figured out. I was doing that. You don't need to hear what I'm saying to hear the banner. To see the banner at IKETAGON everywhere. Again, get involved for any topics. Patty Pimlet, if you want to let me know about your judging criteria, your MMA judging criteria. Let me know if you believe Conor McGregor should just remain a movie star. If you believe Jared Gordon should be getting a lot more credit for how tolerant he's been. This is the biggest fight of his career. You could essentially say it's the biggest loss of his career. Uh, but I agree with Dana White that this is uh, not a loss in the fact of how much attention he got from this. And I want to find this clip. Ray Longo did his weekly spot on the Anakin Florian
Concerned, Ray, as
podcast,
far as
and this is what Ray had to say regarding Patty Pimlet, and I agree wholeheartedly.
Patty Pimblett is concerned, Ray,
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts of him as far as his ceiling and his performance?
Uh, Look, I didn't see anything, man. Give Frivola the fight. Let him fight somebody.
I love
agree.
it. Oh, I love it.
The fight and see what happens with his chin sticking up in the air like that. See what happens to him.
I love it.
I don't think he could go much further unless he makes some serious improvements. The way he handled the mic after the fight, I thought was horrendous. He thinks that was fight of the night. Do you think it was fight of the night, Kenny? Do you agree with him on that?
That was
horrible. I don't think there's a chance that he beats anyone in the top 15.
Yeah, and the fact that he's talking like that, it just leads me. Listen, if you're going to ask me who I thought the judges were going to give that fight to after the fight, I would 100% Pimblett was getting the fight. It's just the way it is. I would have that. I 100% said.
So
I didn't think he won the fight, but if you ask me, who do I think the judges are giving it to? Patty Pimblett.
I 150% agree with Ray Longo. Again, that is courtesy of the Anakin Florian podcast. On the Monday Twitter Spaces, I was talking about how awful Patty Pimblett his post fight was, where he was completely arrogant. He saw no reason why he should have lost that fight. In the post fight press conference, more of the same. I think that arrogance just will rub people the wrong way. Look at the way Conor McGregor won close, the way he lost early on in his career. It was very graceful in everything he did. Post Floyd Mayweather fight, everything changed, but leading up to that, double championship status, fighting the greatest boxer of this generation, Conor was completely, I would say, self-aware, and I think Patty is just he had a lot on his plate leading into that fight. As I mentioned again on my Twitter Spaces on Monday, Patty was he was fighting everybody. He's fighting the fat shaming people. He's fighting media members. He had a really a heads up battle with Ariel Helwani. It got pretty ugly. It seemed like he put a lot more pressure on his back. And that's fine. Conor McGregor did the same at that famous press conference where he was still a 145er, but he was calling out 155ers, calling out Cowboy, putting pressure on his plate. That's fine. But Patty did not handle the win correctly. A gift win, uh, you could say. The fact that he could have easily lost, take out the crowd out of there, put that fight in the UFC Apex, put that fight in a different setting. Patty lost that fight wholeheartedly. A great story I saw was John McCarthy, the big John McCarthy, famous John McCarthy, the referee. His son was the referee for that fight, and he said my son got it wrong, and even talked to him. He's like, "What the hell did you see in that fight?" And that's amazing. I for parenting, I agree with that. The fact that you can call your kids wrong and not just defend them to the the end of the world and die with them. No, if your son's wrong, correct it there and move on. That's it. I respect it. What I don't respect is the way Patty handled that. Patty was Patty was satty, and just ended up being real flatty in that post-fight interview with Rogan, and then the press conference. But yeah, again, I addressed that on my Twitter Spaces at Ictagon everywhere 646-820-9848. What I really want to focus on, besides the news and notes, there is more lawsuit news coming out with Connor and Artem. There is more voicemails. I'm sure you guys would love to hear, but as you can tell, uh, it's a fight night Friday. It's a fight preview Friday, and I'll get to those gossipy news and notes on Monday. I actually want to. I'm celebrating Hanukkah this weekend. Oy, oy. Uh, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. I want to do the social experiment to people. My mom's like, I don't know how that's gonna work, but I go up to someone like, hey, psst, psst, come here, leaning, come here. I want to ask you something. My dog's actually coming over here. Failed. Psst, come here, come here. Do you want to hear some? Psst, come on, closer. Do you want to hear some juicy gossip? Do you? Huh? And if they go, yeah, I'll be like, the fuck is wrong with you? You want to hear juicy gossip? What the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? You kidding me? You want to hear gossip? Get out of here. My mom's like, I don't know if that's a great social experiment. I said, on the surface, it's funny to me, but deep down, it's also like, yeah, what is wrong with you? You want to hear some juicy gossip? Uh, Gossip does the devil's work, folks. But I'm out here trying to do UFC preview work. And Jared Cannonier, Rashawn Strickland, top middleweights going after it. Jared Cannonier is the last victim of Israel Adesanya. What was it? UFC. It was over the summer. UFC 276. That's also the last time that Sean Strickland fought. Alex Pereira was on that card, took out Sean Strickland. This is about 5 months later. It's a fair amount of time to rest. Apparently, he was sparring within a month after that fight, which is say what you want. It is Strickland style. He does not hold off from the heavy sparring. He also trains with Action Man Chris Curtis. You you get a better understanding of how Chris Curtis's style works when you see that he trains with Sean Strickland, because Chris Curtis seems so comfortable in the fire. That's why on the Twitter Spaces on Monday, I was saying I would love to see Action Man Chris Curtis in a 5-round fight, because it seems like he's patient. He has all day. He's not working fast or trying to, I don't know, get somebody out of there in the first minute. Seems like he's picking his shots, taking his time, chopping the tree, and eventually it'll fall. I would love to see Chris Curtis in a 5-round fight. And he's got excellent boxing, and it makes sense why Sean Strickland has very, very good boxing. Um, Prior to the Alex Pereira fight, who's now one of the greatest uh, strikers the UFC has ever seen. Let's give a year's time before we crown him the greatest striker the UFC has ever seen. Obviously, he's got a thick resume, but prior to Sean Strickland losing to one of the greatest strikers the UFC has ever seen in Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland statistically was the best defensive fighter in the middleweight division. Now that's amazing, because he comes across as very brash and outspoken and this wild man style, similar to Colby Covington, but when they both step in the cage, Colby's he's he's a grinder with his pressure and his wrestling. Doesn't have knockout power. Kind of a compiler. Ton of volume, a lot of output. And with Sean Strickland, he says the craziest things. Uh, he is so conservative and reserved in terms of his style in the cage on fight night, and it's crazy. He's leaning back. He's got great defense. He's barely thrown. Similar to Curtis, he wants to just take his time and be patient. Unlike Curtis, he doesn't have that one punch power. Um, but I would love to see. This is important for me because can he bounce back from the biggest loss of his career? It was on the gigantic stage. I think he was the third fight from the main event on a pay-per-view. Now he's a main event again, 5-round fight against a guy who's just a gorilla. Enter Jared Cannonier, a guy who used to fight at the UFC's heavyweight division. I believe I saw him at the heavyweight division, International Fight Week, UFC 213, in July of 2017. And man, big boy had some extra poundage on him the 5+ years ago, and then went from heavyweight to light heavyweight, got a win there, then went from light heavyweight to middleweight and just absolutely freaking shredded. So a testament to him for really honing in his diet and his nutrition to chip away the fat and be a cleaned up fighter and be at the top of his game. I mean, the fact that he's challenging for a belt and the fact that he's going 5 rounds with the second greatest middleweight champion of all time. That's that's a huge tip of the cap to somebody who turned it up a notch, many notches, and yeah, can he take it to another level? Can Sean Strickland take his game to another level? Has Sean Strickland peaked? Is he going to be an opening fight on a pay-per-view card next time out? Is he going to be a prelim headliner? Or does he learn from his mistake? Was it just a freak mistake against a very dangerous striker? Did he not rise to the occasion? Did he overthink or underthink certain situations on the night of the fight? We will see tomorrow night. Also, on the other side, Jared Cannonier, will he bring a more more pep in his step? People were saying that, man, why didn't Cannonier go for it? Why didn't he really, really go for it and just throw everything he had in the fourth and fifth round at Izzy? I mean, first of all, these are people that have probably never competed in martial arts events in their life. And second of all, I'm sure that's eaten away at Cannonier. I'm sure he's heard the critics. I'm sure he's disappointed that that was the biggest moment of his athletic career. And now he's looking to get after a guy, but it's a guy who's also extremely defensive and again was statistically prior to his last knockout loss was more defensive than Israel Adesanya, a guy who Jared Cannonier just lost to. So do not be surprised if this is just an extremely drawn out and boring chess match, just like this podcast. Extremely boring. No hot. No, I don't have any I'll give you this. I'll give you some of this.
This is a call out to Artem the Fanny, Fairy Pad, Lobov.
See, I got the juicy stuff, but a long, drawn out preview of this fight because I believe it's going to be a long, drawn out boxing with slight kickboxing from Strickland, but a lot more from Cannonier. A long, drawn out main event. I would put the money, the betting money on the over. 5 rounds on this. These are guys who've been in many main events and they perform well. And it's going to be an Apex. You're not going to have a crowd influence. Though it is the small cage and there's a higher percentage, I believe it's above a 25% increase of or decrease in space in the UFC Apex. They're still gonna maneuver correctly to avoid getting counterstruck or exposing themselves with something silly. I don't know. I Who do I expect to win in this? Jared Cannonier bouncing back from a title fight, or Sean Strickland bouncing back from a flop, a knockout loss. I'm gonna go with Cannonier because of the leg kicks. I think that boxing will be neutralized. Sean Strickland will get off more jabs, but I think the leg kicks will be louder in the apex. I think the judges will hear the uh, velocity of the leg kicks that Cannonier's throwing. Again, just absolutely chiseled. Sean Strickland's moving up. He used to be a welterweight. Now he's a filled out middleweight. Jared Cannonier is coming down from heavyweight. And I heard you never lose fat cells. Fun fact. It actually just shrinks like a balloon. So if Cannonier does not does not stay on top of his diet, he would look like Patty Pimlet. Man, Patty is just getting it from all angles, but deservedly so. You know, he needs to learn. The boy needs to learn. What other fights? Schmelzberger returns against Matthews. Ooh, that's a fun welterweight fight. I will have to go with that is a grappler's delight. Mm, I will have to go with Schmelzberger. I feel like Jake Matthews is a little too hyped. Uh, Alex Caceres versus Julian Arosa. That will be a fun, high-paced, action-packed fight. I do like Julian Arosa. Seems like he's found it. I know both of these guys are win one, lose two, win two, lose one, win two, lose two, win two, lose two. Ooh, great, great UFC matchmaking on the part of Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby. I think I'm going to have to go with Julian Arosa simply because of the power and the mindset. I think he has a little more killer inside of him than Alex Caceres. Um, a little before that, Michael Oleksiejczuk versus Cody Brundage. As much as I cannot pronounce Michael's name, the Polish power, I do appreciate his style. Excellent boxing. The boxing on this card is really good. The MMA boxing on this card is really good. I'm gonna have to go with the Polish power, Michael Oleksiejczuk over Cody Brundage for the win. Uh, the people's main event, to quote Ariel Helwani, is Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. Guys, let me know what your favorite fight on this card is. 646-820-9848. Again, Drew Dober, Bobby Green. That is going to be a fun fight. Has Bobby fought since the Makachev fight, or is he just buying cars and paying child support with that Islam? No, he has not fought since that, and I believe he does have multiple uh, baby mamas. So God bless him, and the boy is back to get paid again. And Pretty Boy Dober. Both these guys lost to Makachev, so this is sloppy seconds galore over here. Um, wow, Dober has since Makachev, he's gone 2-1, and he's on a 2-fight win streak. So coming in hot. Had that crazy Terrence McKinney fight back in March. That was, oh man, comeback of the year, maybe fight of the year. You got the Matt Schnell fight at the UBS arena. That was a crazy fight. Of course, Yuri Prohaska, Glover Teixeira, that probably fight of the year, considering circumstances and importance of the fight. That matters to me too, above all. But Terrence McKinney, Drew Dober, do yourself a favor and go watch that. That was a crazy fight. And that was the undercard for Thiago Santos versus Magomed Ankalaev. So if you want to see Ankalaev win and not complain in a post-fight press conference, go back and watch that card. UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Ankalaev. Yeah, so it's another solid fight night. I expect that. Oh, can't forget my boy Saeed Nurmagomedov. I believe he is not related to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Everybody wants to make that connection, but he is not. Did he have? Yeah, he beat. Yeah, he's extremely talented bantamweight in that Shark Tank of a division. Uh, really appreciate his style. He is kind of like Zabit Magomed Sharapov. Man, it's been a minute since we've said his name, but Zabit. Um, yeah, Saeed Nurmagomedov reminds me of Zabit style. So definitely check it out if you are into that strong grappling mixed with cardio and some solid submission attempts with also some taekwondo kickboxing. That is the style of the Dagestanis. Hey, if I could replicate that, it's the combat sambo style essentially. Uh, I respect it. So that is UFC Fight Night 216, Cannoneer versus Strickland. Let me get to my next banner. All right, guys, we got some news and notes. Yeah, John McCarthy. I mentioned that with his son. That's a great job by Big John McCarthy being a big father to little John McCarthy. So I think that's really cool. Let's see. Conor McGregor falls out of UFC's official. All these news and notes are courtesy of MMA Junkie. Shout outs to Mike Bond, Ben Folks, Nolan King, all the wonderful MMA Radio George, all the MMA Junkie crew that are putting together great content on a daily, maybe hourly basis. But they put together this story. Conor McGregor falls out of UFC official rankings for the first time in more than 8 years. 8 years ago was 2014. Wow. So that was probably you would say the Holloway fight, the Poirier fight. I guess after the Poirier fight, he cracked into the top 15. What does that mean? That means he's busy. He's filming Roadhouse 2. He's out of the USADA testing pool. I think we all know why he's out of the rankings. It probably could have happened sooner rather than later. I still would love to see RDA versus Connor. That'd be a great welcome back fight. Give RDA the payday. That dude is a Hall of Famer, former UFC lightweight champion, hard worker. Recently got the win over Brian Barberina just 2 weeks ago. Really respect him, and I think, man, there would be some fire and heat with an RDA versus Connor fight that actually happens. It would be at 170, perfect. And you got Nate working in there. Like, come on, UFC. It's low hanging fruit. But moving on, more news and notes. Mobs to be. Maybe I should play a bet underneath this. What do we got? What do we got? There we go. Hope it's not too loud. Moms to be Tisha Torres, Raquel Pennington. Breaking news. News alert. In case you did not know, is lesbians a negative term? I almost just said that. In case you didn't know, there's lesbians in the UFC. There are gay people in the UFC. So, let me know if lesbians is a canceled word at Ictagon or 646-820-9848. I'm interested to know, but Tisha Torres, Raquel Pennington are married and they both fight in the UFC, which is awesome. They are both Denver natives. They are both teammates of one Rose Namajunas, and they are about to be moms. Similar to Amanda Nunes and Nina Nunes, formerly Nina Asaroff. They have their little cute girl that they brought to the fights. What was yeah, Nunes last win, pretty incredible. UFC 277, the rematch against Juliana Pena. So excited for Tisha Torres and Raquel Pennington. God bless and congratulations. Marvin Vittori, the Italian stallion. What a great photo. Nolan King of the MMA Junkie team used for this article. Marvin Vittori versus Roman Dolidze, Georgia's Roman Dolidze, not Atlanta, Georgia, folks, the Republic of Georgia. I believe it's a Balkan country. They are headed to UFC 286 in London. And hey, I didn't know that. UFC 286 is in London. You got UFC 283, the next pay per view event, January 21st in Brazil. The return to Brazil. That would be holy shit. That would be, oh man, 3 or 4 years. Wow. Crazy times, crazy times. But the UFC, they did return to London this past year. I think earlier in March, and then again. No. Last September, and then in March, and then in July again. So they're headed back there. They want to go to Patty's Town. Patty should fight there. That is a pay-per-view event, March 18th. You fat fuck. You got enough time to eat to the new year. 2 weeks of disgustiveness, and then you can cut weight. All right. July is about January would be about 8 weeks out of your pay-per-view event in your freaking home region. No excuse, Patty. Come on. He needs to win everybody back over, and there's no excuse. If he doesn't do it in his hometown, or his home region, because I know he's from Liverpool. This is London. But anyway, Marvin Vittori versus Roman Dolidze. Ooh, that is a banger at middleweight. This is a huge step up for Roman Dolidze, who's looking absolutely incredible. A Georgian destroyer. This man has a beautiful sweater vest or sweater V-neck that he rocks when he fights. But he also has an immense amount of skill. Beautiful. What was it? I think it was a calf crusher or calf slice, and then he turned it into a full back mount to TKO Jack Hermanson, who is no slouch. So now Dolidze is looking to crack the top 5 of the middleweight division. Wow, very excited for this fight. Moving on, Sean O'Malley. Speaking of Paddy Pimblett, Sean O'Malley advises Paddy Pimblett to dial in, not get fat as fuck after UFC 282. Well, we're all frustrated with Paddy, and he cannot be a baby. He must listen because he was in the wrong on this. Okay, I don't know how many times we can say it, but Sean O'Malley's saying it. Does Joe Rogan need to say it? Probably, and then we'll all listen. Because whatever Ariel Helwani says or sends in the direction of Paddy Pimblett, it won't matter. They're beefing right now. UFC 285, March 4th. Wow, so you got 2 pay-per-views within 2 weeks of each other. March 4th and then March 18th. UFC 285, they put on a fight. Cody Garbrandt and Cody Garbrandt facing Julio Arce, UFC 285. I like that fight. Arce doesn't pack a big punch, though. He's a well-rounded and skilled martial artist and a product of Tiger Schulman's MMA. Cody Garbrandt cannot deal with somebody who's got big-time pop. And, yeah, you wouldn't consider Kai Kara France a heavy-handed flyweight. Man, he put it on Cody. That was a rude welcome to the flyweight division. So excited to see Cody get back in there. Can he finally make the adjustments, or is he going to retire after this fight or sign elsewhere? Because it ain't pretty. 7-5 in the UFC after being a champ. I think he was 6-0 when he became a UFC champion. Gotta make adjustments. Gotta make adjustments, Cody. Big fan. Big fan. Don't unfollow me, please. All right. Couple more. Couple more. Michael Bisping says again, all of these articles and news and notes are brought to you by MMA Junkie. Farrah Hannon put together this article. Michael Bisping, if says this about McGregor. If McGregor beats Michael Chandler, it wouldn't be crazy to think about a title fight next. At lightweight, yes, but Bisping, have you seen McGregor? It does not look like he is making lightweight anytime soon. The boy is big. He wants to fight at welterweight. If Chandler wants to do welterweight, that's fine. That's a great welcome back for McGregor. You have a more chunkier Chandler who's not going to be cutting as much. Maybe he's a little slower at welterweight. I think that's a great fight for McGregor. Chandler is also shown to be chinny, so that's also a great fight. And that could be a warm-up for the RDA or the Diaz 3, and then talk a title fight. Let him get 2 wins at welterweight, and then he could fight Usman, Edwards, maybe Diaz rematches Edwards. There's possibilities. Let him get back in the testing pool. Let him be motivated by being kicked out of the rankings. Dillashaw breaks silence on decision to retire. Let me click this. I did not click this before. What do we got? The quote. This was on Food Truck Diaries. I went and had shoulder surgery 4 weeks ago, and the doctor just kind of like had a raw conversation with me. Dillashaw told Shab, he was like, "Hey man, it's time to make a decision. This is your 3rd shoulder surgery in the last 3 years, and it just got me thinking about life and my son and being able to be active with him and swing a golf club with him. Just live life outside of fighting, you know." Wow. That is that's a wise decision, and you got to respect it. You got to respect it. Kids first, kids above all. And yeah, folks, that is the news. And what could I forget? Jake Paul was awarded a WBA belt world title. He says he has to earn it. I feel like I haven't earned it this yet. I feel like I have to actually fight for this. This isn't mine yet. I'm going to use it as motivation. Maybe boxing's trying to play psychological games with him. They want to give him a title, make him feel like a participation trophy so he can just stop fighting. Or on the flip, they're giving this because they appreciate what he's doing for the sport, that he's bringing more eyeballs to boxing and, of course, more dollar signs. So you got to respect Jake Paul. Let's find out about this United Fighters Association. Let's find out if that's the actual acronym and I just made that up. But again, guys, thank you for joining me on another live Ictagon. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Follow me everywhere at Ictagon, IKETAGON, or get involved in the program 646-820-9848. Enjoy the fights tomorrow. I certainly will. Again, I'm picking Cannonier because of the leg strikes. Oh, man, I didn't even look up what boxing matches there are. But I'm dealing with my own boxing matches. Your boy's putting in the work. Love you guys. Peace.